just came back from the U.S.-Mexico border near Eagle Pass, Texas, and the situation there is night and day from what we saw under the Biden administration. Illegal crossings, as you know, have plunged to record lows. What changed?
Got a new president. Um,
Well, it's not just a new president, but new policies as well. And what you do is you just simply turn people away who want to come in legally and illegally.
I know under Biden administration, he kept saying you couldn't do much about legislation. We need legislation. They didn't need that. I mean, they should have learned from Trump 45 that, through executive orders, you can fix a lot of this problem.
Yeah, and through executive orders, you can fix most problems. And there's a reason why the executive order exists.
If you're waiting on Congress, I'm not optimistic that Congress will ever address this problem, especially now. It's such a divided Congress. But look, the change got President Trump in the Oval Office.
And Congress is only gonna become more divided as more and more radicals go into it.
He issued executive orders, a lot of the executive orders that work.
And real quick, and that's why, like I've said for the past few times now, we need smart people to vote again, to elect non-retards into Congress who only vote or who only enact policies based off of retarded ideologies.
In Trump 45.
We need people who are actually willing to work for the American people.
Reestablish them with a few others, and as of today, we got the most secure border in the history of the nation. I mean, even better than Trump 45. So it was the president. I mean, he was elected on this issue, and as I just said during my speech, when he hired me, he called me up, wanted me to come back. He wanted me to oversee creating a secure border, running a mass deportation operation, and finding these missing children that were smuggled in the country and released to unvetted or not properly vetted sponsors. So it was President Trump. I got to give him the credit because he sat in the Oval Office. He already knew Trump 45 was very successful. By the time he left office, we had that border pretty secure. So he came back, did a lot of the same things, with a lot of new things.
Now, what you could do to make it even more secure and prevent even like half the attempts from crossing again is a shoot on sight policy. Now, what will that do? Well, I'd say it would put people into the negatives. Or, sorry, the people who would attempt to cross into the negatives. Now, obviously, the media and a lot of people, I'd say mostly leftists, would absolutely hate that. However, that's too bad because it's ultimately not for the people who are trying to come into the country illegally. It's for the people who are citizens of this country.
Added to it, and it's the most secure border ever.
Some would say, critics of the administration would say that the dramatic change at the border is stemming from policies that they see as harsh or
They're not harsh. Not at all. There needs to be way harsher policies.
even inhumane.
Way harsher policies.
What do you think about that?
The most humane thing.
And, well, you know what? I'll let him continue.
On the border is secure it. Because what happened during Joe Biden's administration? They said it's humane. They opened the border up, right? Millions of people came to the border. The whole world knew you can come to the U.S. border, you can cross illegally. It's a crime, but don't worry about it. We're going to process you and release you within 24 hours. We're going to fly you to the city of your choice on a taxpayer dime. We're going to put you in a free hotel room. We're going to give you free medical care. We're going to give you 3 meals a day. And after about 4 months, you'll end up with work authorization, which is the real reason they came here to begin with. How's that?
And again, what will that do? Like I've said in previous statements, that will displace the real American workers. And then the prices are going to stay the same. They're not going to go any lower. The people who are in charge of these illegal aliens are just only they're only going to rake in more profit. It's not going to change the price. No, not at all.
That humane, because when you announce that to the whole world, what happened? Over 4,000 aliens died making that journey. Historic.
Honestly, I'm a little surprised it's not more. And I'm guessing most of them are. You know what? I was gonna say the cartel, although those probably aren't reported. So the reported number is probably through drowning. since apparently a lot of them cannot swim.
Work record. Over a quarter million Americans died from fentanyl coming across the border. An historic record. Sex trafficking of women and children were sky high. Cartels.
Yeah, of course, human trafficking was going sky high. I mean, the cartels they see a once in a lifetime opportunity. An open border, of course, they're going to traffic people through it.
Were moving, children and women across that border for in the sex trade. They were moving gangs. They were moving, national security threats. Under Trump, 45, 14 were arrested on the southern border. Joe Biden, over 400. So that's not humane at all. When you make those type of promises to the whole world that there will be no border enforcement, the most vulnerable people putting themselves in harm's way and give their life savings to the cartels make that dangerous journey. We saw what happened. So it's not cruel. Matter of fact, illegal immigration down 96%, right? There's been studies done, independent studies been done, that 31% of women who make that journey through the cartels report being sexually assaulted, raped.
That's not surprising at all.
31% admitted it. How many actually got assaulted, right?
That's also true. I'd say it's probably about 40%.
So when President Trump has it down 96, 97%, when 97% less people are coming, how many children aren't dying? How many aliens aren't dying?
And this is what a lot of mainstream media corporations aren't discussing or aren't showing. They only want to show what delusional freaks want to believe. They refuse to show actual numbers or what it actually leads to, because that would hurt their viewpoint and what they're trying to push.
How many women are being raped? How many pounds of fentanyl isn't getting in this country? How many known suspected terrorists isn't getting in this country? It's not, no, what we're doing right now is the most humane thing you can do.
Do you believe, sir, that this administration's policy is still one of mass deportation? And I ask you that because since Minneapolis, we're no longer seeing near daily videos of ICE arresting people or ICE on the headlines every single.
Oh, shit, man. Honestly, I want to see more of that. I want to see tons of more. They need to go city by city. First of all, actually, what they need to do is they need to abolish sanctuary cities. And then what they need to do is they need to immediately flood these sanctuary cities. And like you saw in Minneapolis, just arrest all the illegal aliens. And anyone who tries to hurt those police officers when they're trying to do their job and keep the country safe, well, they should get arrested too. And in my opinion, they deserve even a harsher sentence. I'd say the minimum, like 10 years.
Single day.
Because if you give just a few people, like, keep in mind, you don't even have to do this to a lot of people. You just need to cherry pick a few people out and give them these harsh sentences, and the rest will follow suit. That's why once that Good, I don't know, I forgot her first name. That's why when she got shot, nobody else was running or trying to ram their cars through ICE agents anymore. It's because they didn't want to get shot.
Has the administration backed down to some degree?
We're just doing things the right way.
What does that mean?
Well, President made a promise to the American people of mass deportations.
And in my opinion, we do not have enough deportation. Excuse me. We don't have nearly enough deportations. Well, what was it? Wasn't Trump claiming that there were around like 10 million illegal aliens inside the country? If we're at only like 400,000 a year, oh my god, it'll take like 25 years to get all of them out. And even then, there's still the possibility of party change and then them opening up the border again and then causing the exact same thing to happen, but making it even worse than it was before. Or I'd say what it is right now.
Overseeing that, along with Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. The numbers have dipped slightly, I think 12%. Because of why? Because the government's shut down. I mean, ICE agents may be getting paid, but our contractors aren't. The people who do the targeting, people who do all that work to make it possible to go look for people, right? So that's part of the problem. The other problem is at Minnesota. Look, the president, I didn't ask to go to Minnesota. The president called me up and told me to go to Minnesota to address a problem.
That's good. That's good.
And and do what we do best, which is target enforcement operations. And when I got to Minneapolis, I was clear during my speeches there, things weren't perfect.
I guess you could say that.
I addressed some things.
And what Trump should have done to help him out, and I'd say to help everyone out, is he should have called the Insurrection Act and immediately deployed the National Guard.
Fixed some things. And what happened after Minneapolis? We had unprecedented support from county jails across the state that we didn't have before, which means we got the bad guy in the safety and security of a jail, which means we didn't have to go to the street.
Yeah, and if any state isn't immediately deporting illegal migrants who are committing crimes, especially violent crimes, just think about it for 10 seconds, not even, just think about it for 5 seconds. Are they really working for the best interest of me and my safety? No, of course not. They're just trying to push a radicalized and retarded goal.
To find them.
And it's the only thing that's, hell, I'd say it's not even benefiting them. I think sometimes, or most of the time, it's based off of their own ego.
Right, so you send a whole team of 6 or 7 guys to go find them.
Wait, never mind. It's not off of their ego. It's for the people who are voting for them. It's for their ego.
This person, and things were so elevated. The hate and the violence were so elevated. Now we got.
Yeah, there's like a 2,000% increase on ICE officers. Like, are you kidding me?
Got to send a security team to back up the huge ops team. So while they're busy trying to arrest this guy.
And it's still going on. It's not like this was a one-time incident. It's still going on actively in places like Portland, Oregon, and California. And I think it's still in Minnesota, where it originally took place.
Now you got to have another security team keeping their back safe. So now you got 13 guys arrest that one person. That alone causes a lot of the conflict.
Yeah, there should never be 13 guys trying to arrest one person. Like, are you kidding me? Like, not only is that a huge problem, but it also wastes manpower. It's 2 people can't go arrest them anymore. Now you have to have a whole bunch of people.
When people see,
and you can't even have it in a controlled environment. It's in the chaos of the open world.
Large groups of agents out doing this job, when we simply could have had one agent arrest one bad guy in the jail, right?
Exactly.
So I met with the governor, I met with the attorney general, I met with the mayor, and
to de-escalate,
to say, look, there's a better way to do this. Cooperate with us. Let us get the bad guy in the safety and security of a jail, which is safer for the aliens, safer for the officers, and much safer for the community.
It's literally safer for everyone.
More agents in your jail means less agents on the street. I don't have to send 12 people to look for one person that we could have arrested with one person. Right?
Exactly.
One. And we end up coming out there with a big win, because that state's less of a sanctuary state now because of cooperation we have. Does that mean we're going to stop enforcing immigration law in Minneapolis? No, we've got several hundred officers there doing the criminal investigation of fraud, but we're still going to enforce the law in Minneapolis and Minnesota, but now we're in a better position. We're in a better position. We're safer for the agents, safer for the aliens. Now, the reason you haven't seen a lot of the videos out there, because ICE is doing the mission, they're doing it the way they should be doing it. Target enforcement operations. When they leave the office in the morning, they know who they're looking for. And
not random sweeps.
And in my opinion, there should be a lot more random sweeps too. Well, once they find out where everyone where every illegal alien lives, because somehow they already know, because for whatever reason, well, not somehow that they know because the jails were purposely releasing them rather than giving them to ICE. Like, what the fuck?
We don't do random sweeps. I don't even like the word sweeps, because sweeps kind of like, it's uncontrolled. To me, sweeps means uncontrolled and not targeted. We have
But frankly, sorry to interrupt, we saw some of that, especially by Border Patrol agents in some cities like Chicago and Minneapolis, coming up to people in parking lots and asking them for their papers.
Have you seen it after Minneapolis?
No, which is why I'm asking you.
No.
Why the change?
Because we're going to do things. It's not less enforcement, it's smarter enforcement.
Hmm.
Look, I know there's a lot of people out there that question, are you backing away from mass deportation? Look, I don't care what the keyboard warriors say or people are
He knows. He knows.
in the arena. I'm in the arena, and I know what we're doing. The numbers I just announced, we got over 800,000 removals between ICE and CBP since President Trump's been in the Oval Office. That's historic.
Fuck, man. Only 800,000? The way Trump was talking, it should be by like 2 million by now. I want at least 1 million a year.
And we'll keep.
And keep in mind, actually, this is the beginning. These are like the first 2 easiest years. They should definitely be well over 1 million.
Doing that. The focus is going to be on public safety threats and national security threats. A lot of people want to attack that. Look, if you have a criminal public safety threat here and a non-criminal here, who should you arrest first? We're always going to go for the public safety threat because he's the biggest threat to our communities, right? So right now the numbers.
Duh. Of course you want to get rid of the illegal alien rapist before you go after the Home Depot worker.
Run around 60 to 65% criminal. But let's say 60% of who we're arresting is criminal. Let's just use that number. 40% are non-criminal. I think that's good. I think it's better than saying 40% are criminal, 6% are non-criminal. I mean, it's about public safety. And you can see because of President Trump's focus on public safety, crime rates dropping across the country. I mean, it's working. President Trump's policies are working. We're going to make sure they work. So ICE is getting back to what they've done for decades. Back when I was an ICE agent, we did target enforcement operations. We don't drive around looking for people different than us. We know who we're looking for. Now, here's the problem, though. Let me add this. So, target enforcement operations, we know who we're looking for. However, because in sanctuary cities, they're forcing us into the community because they don't give us access to the jails. Now we got to go to community and find this person. And when we find that target.
Yeah, and when he finds them, he's going to say, this, yeah. There's a bunch of other illegal migrants who are there with that person. So, of course, they got to arrest all of them and deport all of them, which I think is a good thing, too.
Many times they're with others. Others in the United States illegally.
Yep, it's exactly as he said. And in my opinion, they should go through every single person that they arrested, find out if they were working, and if they somehow got the job illegally through a like stolen or fake social security card, or if that person, more specifically their employer, was knowingly hiring that person illegally, charge them with human trafficking. Give them a harsh sentence so they never want to do it again. And it sends a message to every other employer who are hiring these illegal aliens not to do it.
Weren't the target, weren't a priority, but guess what? They're in the country illegally, they're coming too. So sanctuary.
We're going to arrest that person too.
We're not walking away.
Who is not the target of the operation.
We're not walking away from the illegal aliens.
Of course, and that's the way it should be.
The men and women of ICE will uphold the oath they took and will enforce the laws enacted by Congress. That's their
Even
job.
if they have no criminal record.
Absolutely. If they're in the country illegally, they're not off the table. If we find them, we're going to arrest them and deport them.
Yeah, they should be targeting every single person they should be targeting every single person who is in the country illegally.
We're in the business of
I don't care if it's an overstayed visa or whatever. You know the rules, you still chose to broke them. So what happens? Well, you get removed.
Immigration law. There's nothing in immigration
Your
law that
actions
says you got
have
to commit yet another
consequences.
crime other than illegal.
And it takes 5 seconds to realize too that there are millions of migrants who don't overstay their visas, who follow the laws and rules and norms of the United States. And people and retards specifically lump those actually good people with the rest of the bad people. And it's a disgrace.
Country to be arrested and removed from this country. That's the way we operated for decades. But it's just what the same thing I explained to the elected representatives in Minnesota is that when you force us in a neighborhood and have to have a bunch of agents doing a job that took one in a jail, that raises.
Ooh, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe sometimes it is a good thing that they aren't arresting them in jail, because they seem to always find a bunch more illegal aliens with that one person.
Fear in the community. It also results in more collateral arrests because we'll find others in the pursuit of the target and we're arresting them too. We're not going to turn a blind eye to illegal immigration. So if you want
Which is
less
good.
collaterals, if you want more target enforcement operation, then let us in the damn jail. You know, you chose to arrest somebody and lock him in a jail cell. You chose to take his freedom away and lock him in a jail cell. So obviously you think he's a public safety threat because you locked him up. Or flight risk. If he's in the country illegally, give us access to him. When you're done, give him to us. That's what we're asking. We're not asking any law enforcement to be immigration officers. We're asking cops working with cops.
So you're saying the administration is not backing down from mass deportation?
No.
That is still the policy of the
Yes.
second Trump administration.
Yes, and the numbers prove we're doing it.
And it should be the policy for any administration for the U.S. government.
Can we do more? Absolutely.
Then do more. If you can do more, do more.
And we're going to do more. I mean, I just had a phone call this morning talking with Mark Wayne Munn, the secretary. We're talking about, you know, increasing the numbers. But
Of ICE arrests.
yeah, I don't know if I finished the statement earlier, but we got nearly 700,000 illegal aliens with criminal histories walking the streets of this country. We got a lot of work to do. We got a million and a
And the unfortunate thing is, those are the easy ones to find.
half, approximately, people with fine orders. Had due process, a great taxpayer expense for order removed. At least 900,000 of them are executable fine orders, can be deported today. They've had the due process. So we have a lot of people that we need to find. And we're going to keep doing this job. And now we just have.
In my opinion, they shouldn't get even due process if they come in illegally and they're not a U.S. citizen. Well, they should be immediately removed. There shouldn't be any court for them. If they know that is an illegal alien and they are not a citizen, there should be no court case. There should be just a plane ride back to their country. And actually, I wonder how many citizens ICE has even deported, because I think the wrongful detain rate for ICE was like 0.1%, if I'm correct. But I don't think they even ever deported any citizens. Let's ask Grug. Has ICE ever deported citizens accidentally? And I mean accidentally. I'm not talking about two illegal aliens having a kid here and then that kid going back to that country when the parents are deported. On multiple occasions. All right. 21, 674 potential citizens detained, 121 and deported, 70 potential U.S. citizens. U.S. citizens cannot legally be subject to civil migration removal. Yep, obviously. With mental was detained 51 days despite evidence. All right, so big fuck. Oh, this is in 2008 too. This is in 2008. All right, let me put in after 2024. Let's see how many. Yep, obviously. Minor children, because again, they're here illegally and then they get deported back with their parents. Move alongside them. Yep, they're non-citizens. Have surge, yep, blah 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 blah. 2-4, yep. They shouldn't be here. 10-year with brain disease. That sucks though. U.S. citizen. All right. Border context includes Senate reports. No comprehensive lada. 70 potential citizen removals from 2015 early. Yep, that's. I'm just saying. I'm gonna ask it. Just give me a number. Give me a number from 2024 to 2026. You know what? We'll just do 2025. Not including U.S. born kids of illegal legal immigrants. All right, so it is about what I expected. Honestly, well, I thought it would be like one, maybe two, but now that I think about it, yeah, probably not, because the biggest wrongful deportation was that guy from Maryland who had like a case with his wife because I forgot all the details, but apparently he beat her or something. And then he was deported to El Salvador, which I think was a huge W. But yeah.
The massive hiring surge. And we got, I don't know, we won't hire 10,000. I think we got maybe 6,000 or 7,000 on board.
ICE agents.
So with more ICE agents.
And keep in mind, what was it? Around 800,000 people have been deported. So those are some pretty damn good numbers.
It means we can advance to more targets. So the rest should increase this year substantially.
But, Mr. Homan, should the American public expect similar operations to what we saw in Minneapolis and Chicago? Large-scale, aggressive immigration crackdowns.
Use the term aggressive. I don't agree with that. I think.
Well.
That's not. Well, technically, yes, it is aggressive. However, it's just wordplay, obviously.
In Minneapolis, we saw controversial arrests. We saw 2 fatal shootings of U.S. citizens.
What I'm telling.
Two fatal shootings of retards. One who tried to drive through an ICE agent patrol trying to stop her, and he was in fear of his life, and so he shot her, and rightfully so. The second was because a guy just, well, he was first of all, even before he was shot, he was kicking a police car, or a nice car, I can't remember which. I think he kicked out the taillight. He should have been arrested there and then charged and sentenced to jail for I'd say years. But and then after, he tried to get involved in the arrest of another person, and he had a gun on him, so he was already there causing chaos, or not causing chaos, but already trying to be a problem. And what happened? Well, he got shot. Now, the thing is, from what I could tell, I don't think it was ever. No, it probably was. I just didn't read up on it. But I think it was. What was it? It was on accident. He was shot on accident. But even then, so he was there to cause problems. It's a rip-a-bozo situation.
They're going to see mass operations.
And there needs to be more massive operations.
We're going to force it.
And you know what Trump truly should have done is, again, he should have called in the National Guard. He should have done it on day one when people were when people were throwing firecracker or fireworks and trying to beat the cars and hit the police officers and threatening them. He should have called in the National Guard day one. Shut it all down.
People say mass deportation. What a cruel thing to say. What a racist thing to say, mass deportation. Let's remember why we're here. 4 years of an open border. Over 10 million illegal aliens that we know of came to the border. Millions were released in this country, illegally, in my opinion, against established, immigration law. 4 years of historic, never seen before numbers. We had historic illegal immigration crisis for 4 years. So what's required now? An historic mass deportation to deal with these people enter this country.
Yeah, and a historic legal migration into the U.S. requires a historic demigration of the U.S. Obviously.
Illegally, many released in this country illegally, many who have no case in this country to be here. So yeah, they set the stage. We're responding to it. You got to remember, Trump 45. We handed President Biden the most secure border ever back then, and within weeks they destroyed it. Went from the most secure border to historic illegal immigration. So if those that say, well, this language of mass deportation, that's why President Trump was elected.
And this also proves my point, where we could probably solve every single problem inside the United States, and I'd say in Western culture, but we it's not that we can't, it's just that the politicians won't. Whether that be they're too retarded, bureaucracy, or whatever.
Because of 4 years of open borders, millions of people being released in this country, and many of them unvetted, not properly vetted, because you got Secretary Mayorkas saying, well, everybody's vetted, we're released. Crap, it's bull crap, because we don't have criminal histories for El Salvador and Guatemala and certainly North Korea and Russia and China. They're not going to share sensitive national security information with us, so they weren't vetted properly. And now we're removing thousands upon thousands of not only public safety threats, national security threats, gang members. I mean,
You mentioned, sir, sorry to interrupt that.
Would be even better. In my opinion, the best way to solve this problem would be if people were crying about these gangs and these rapists and murderers being deported, just simply stick them inside of the prison with their home, or better yet, stick the prisoners stick the rapists, the murderers, and the bad people inside that person's home, and then see what they think.
Believe that the operation
I reckon it wouldn't be very good.
in Minneapolis was not perfect. Can you sit here today and acknowledge that mistakes were made?
Yeah, mistakes. One mistake was made. The officer that shot, I think it was I think her first name was Renee Good. Oh yeah, that was completely in self-defense. The accident was the other guy.
And perhaps that the administration went too far in Minneapolis?
the operation, when I got there, I reviewed the entire operation. I made changes based on my experience and based on what I think was the best way to go forward. And I said on the stage my first time, I didn't go up there looking for photo ops. I didn't go up there looking for TV cameras. I went up there to fix a problem because President Trump sent me there to fix that problem, and we fixed it. And as I said up there, we're going to do smarter enforcement. Smarter enforcement don't mean less enforcement. Did I like what's going on?
Hopefully it means more enforcement.
No, everything wasn't perfect. There's different chains of command, Border Patrol had one chain of command. ICE had a different chain of command. HSI had a different chain of command. There's like 3 different chains of command. I've never seen an operation that size not have one chain of command. I fixed that. And I made sure that we went out. We have, like I said, plenty of thousands of solid priority targets that we should be looking at first. And
you're talking about criminals who are also in the country illegally.
Yes. So, things weren't perfect. We addressed it, we fixed it, and I think things that we learned, I certainly have a close relationship with the ICE director, and he understands what we found and what we changed and what we improved upon, and that's the way we're moving forward. And I've had the discussions with Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. He agrees. We can have mass deportations, but do it in a smarter way, which we're doing.
You're talking about smarter immigration enforcement. Former Border Patrol official Gregory Vivino, who I know you know, said recently that the new approach by the administration is a softer approach. He was criticizing the new approach.
Oh, damn it. That
Is
sucks.
he right?
No. It's a smarter approach.
He believes the administration is backing away from mass deportation.
And it does seem that way too. Again, there's only like 400,000. You know what? Let's ask Greg how many people were deported. Many people were deported in Trump's second presidency so far. I think it's only around like 800,000 or 1 million. I'm hoping I'm underballing it. Fuck! It's even less than what I thought. So I overestimated it. Fiscal year saw. Damn. So only. Wait. Administrative figures bundled deportations with a return in sight. Around 2 million self deportations for broader outflows. Wait, total exceeding 2.5 to 3 million. All right, I actually like that. I like that. Shit. All right.
It's wrong. It's wrong. Numbers prove it. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers of arrests and removals in the past year, and you give me 1 year we've done more. Never. Under President Obama, we removed 409,000 people. I got a presidential rank award for it, highest award available from President Obama. They don't want to admit that now. They did. Congratulations, you removed 409,000 people. We beat that number. We got historic numbers now. And like I said, we're hiring thousands more agents. So we're doing things the right way, and we're going to keep doing it that way.
In Minneapolis, as you know, sir, we saw 2 fatal shootings of U.S. citizens, Alex Preddy and Renee Good.
Yeah. The Renee Good was definitely in the right though. Or sorry. She wasn't in the right. The officer that shot her was in the right.
I know the investigations into those shootings are still ongoing, but if any wrongdoing is found, do you believe that the agents implicated should be terminated or should face other consequences?
Yes.
You do.
If they violate the law, they got to be held responsible. When they violate policy, you got to be held responsible.
Yeah, actions have consequences.
I said from day one, we need to be transparent in everything we do.
And you can tell that he isn't partisan because of this. He just wants people to follow the law. That's it. That's it. And he's a guy who believes actions have consequences. Nobody's immune from that.
And I'm not going to comment on those investigations because from day one when the first shooting happened, I was asked to comment within hours on it, and I said I will not comment on an ongoing investigation. Like I'll show them.
Yeah, and you still need more information to find out what really happened.
One video.
So of course he's going to hold his statement until the investigation is complete.
How many videos have you got? You got ring cameras, you got body cam video, you got people with cell phones. I'm not going to sit there and comment on any investigation which may sway somebody to think a certain way. I'm not going to do that. I'm a career law enforcement officer. We'll let the investigations play out.
But you support consequences
if there's
wrongdoing
wrongdoing,
is
absolutely.
found.
Yes.
What is the status of those investigations, sir?
They're ongoing as far as I know.
They're still ongoing?
Again, that's a question for FBI and internal affairs, ICE internal affairs. Again, I don't get involved with the investigation. Just let them play out and let the chips fall.
You talked about smarter immigration enforcement focused mainly on people here illegally who also have committed crimes. We recently interviewed, sir, a U.S. Army First Sergeant with 27 years in the military and 3 deployments to Afghanistan, whose wife was recently arrested by ICE in El Paso, Texas. She's currently in custody and facing deportation to a third country, Mexico. How is that a good use of the limited resources that you acknowledge ICE?
I'll give you a simple solution. If she broke into the country here illegally, then she should be deported. All right.
Has, and is this not the exact case that would merit discretion?
Look, officers have discretion. When did that happen?
2 weeks ago.
I'm not familiar with it. So I'm not going to comment until I have the facts in front of me. I don't know what.
Yeah, and smart move.
Is there a criminal history involved? Do we know that?
DHS says that she entered the country illegally and
All right, yeah, so yeah, it's exactly what I said. She broke into the country illegally, and so she should get removed from the country. Easy.
has a deportation order.
So she had due process.
But if she's married,
Yeah, in my opinion, if you're an illegal alien, then you don't deserve the due process. You're not an American citizen. You broke into the country illegally, and now you want to use our system to actively work against ourselves? No, no, that shouldn't be happening at all.
To a U.S. service member, shouldn't the
Let
process
me ask you a
allow her to get a green card?
Let me turn the tables and ask you a question. What federal judge order should we ignore? We have
He's got a really good response.
a system in this country, due process. When the judge makes the decision, should that decision be carried out? Or we just say, oh, no, we won't do this one. Now, what I'm saying is, this is difficult. You know, again, I don't know the facts of this case, but it's something I'm certainly going to look into. My chief of staff sitting there beside me, she'll look into it, give me the facts. But we have to enforce the law. And, you know, if there's due process and a federal judge has said, you do not have a right to be here. I mean, is there appealing process? Did someone appeal that decision? Is it in the appellate courts now? There's a system we have to play by. And so I'm not going to judge the actions of this case because I don't know the facts, but people all the time say, well, they have final order removal, but do you have to remove them? What laws do you think DEA shouldn't enforce? What laws should FBI not enforce? I mean, bottom line is we're law enforcement. You got to enforce the law, but
It's a good question.
but
I
due
guess another
process.
question-
It sounds like due process was given because you had a final order.
Yeah. Now, at first, he seemed actually rational, not rational, but he seemed like he was asking unbiased questions and questions that didn't attack him. But now it seems a little more obvious that he's purposely asking questions that will make Tom look bad.
I don't. Now there is.
And that's why you hate mainstream Moody. That's why you hate mainstream media. It's because they stopped asking unbiased questions a long time ago. Now they only push narratives and ask questions that purposely make people look good or look bad.
She does have a deportation
And
order.
there
but I guess
there
the
is
question
discretion involved.
And now he's trying to argue against the deportation order.
Either by the immigration judge or immigration officers, but I cannot comment any further. I don't know the specifics of the case. Is there criminal history involved?
Yeah, Tom played this masterfully. If this was a game of chess, he kicked his fucking ass.
Is there something I don't know that may have national security implications? I don't know the case. So I can't comment, but a general statement alone, a lot of people say, well, they got deportation orders, but does that really matter? Yeah, it matters. That's the system we have.
I think it's some people would say is that the process should be allowed to play out, and that process being her ability to get a green card based on.
No. In my opinion, if she broke into the country illegally, and they already found that out, and they gave her the deportation order, she shouldn't be allowed in the country ever again. I think that would be another thing that would help curb against illegal migration.
Having that marriage to a U.S. service member.
Again, I don't know the specifics of that case.
Because again, there are plenty of people who come to the country legally, not illegally, legally, and they follow the rules and customs to get into this country. And there should not be an order or a process that makes illegal aliens higher up and more able to get green cards and papers into the country rather than people who took the legal way.
I will look into it.
Okay.
But officers have discretion in certain, who we prosecute, who we don't prosecute, and judges have discretion. I mean, many times people aren't ordered deported. I think they have a solid case be deportation, but it's a question I have to get back to. I'm not familiar with the case.
Okay.
But we arrest thousands of people a day. And
sure, of course.
Every one of them. I have not heard that case.
Okay. Yeah, I can share her info actually on that case. As you know, Congress has been desperately gridlocked on immigration for decades. I think the last major immigration law passed in the 1990s, a long time ago. Is there any political space now, sir, for the administration to work with Congress, to work with Democrats on the other side of the aisle, to strike a compromise? And
the unfortunate thing is you cannot work with them at all. They are stuck in their ways, and they will refuse to help or assist them in any way, all because they want to gas up their fringe voter base and vote and make policies against American values.
Finally fix a system that everyone acknowledges on all sides is outdated, and broken.
I love Congress to do some things. Because my concern right now is a lot of the successes we have, unprecedented success, is based on executive orders, which can certainly be turned around by the next president. Joe Biden did it.
Or they face lawsuits.
Then President Trump came back and redid it, right? So if we're going to keep playing this ping pong game, you know, I don't want it. I want it enshrined in law, in statute, and Congress needs to do that. Do I think they're going to? No, I'm very pessimistic they'll do it. Right now, I've never seen Congress more broken than it is right now. I mean, I've been involved in negotiations on Hill.
Do I think it will get better? I think what would have to happen in order to actually heal and unite Congress is to focus on these huge dividing issues. For example, for whatever reason, the left really wants to have lesser sentences on criminals. So, in my opinion, the best case, what best to do would be gather a huge pile of evidence of the most graphic and horrifying footage that criminals have ever done. And I'm talking about like HD footage of a guy getting bludgeoned to death, or better yet, in this scenario, even a woman or a kid, to really show them that people are brutal and that they need harsh sentences. And then once that happens and like the footage is released, and you know, it has to be easily accessible, otherwise not many people will be able to see it or let alone know about it. So again, it has to be hugely accessible. And then once that is, then anyone who really criticizes it will face a huge amount of backlash. And that will create a culture where it is now more acceptable to actually punish criminals and give them harsh sentences. And I think that will actually create better outcomes and a better culture, and hopefully heal the country and give people a little more common sense to think about
Reopening DHS and what they want. There's Democrats on the Hill that don't want to reform ICE. They want it to go away. They want it shut down.
Yeah, and those people are retarded. They only do that, or sorry, they're not retarded. They're actually smart because they're trying to lean in onto the fringe leftist voter base who want to abolish ICE because they don't deal with any of those people who commit crimes and who break into the country illegally. They don't deal with them. They live in gated communities.
And what they need to understand is immigration enforcement has always been controversial. It's always been controversial ever since I started in 1984.
It shouldn't be at all. It should never have been controversial.
It's a tough law because it affects lives of people.
Yeah, but it ultimately, the illegal migration affects people for the worse more in this country than for the better.
People that come to this country to seek a better life, and I get that. But people need to understand illegal aliens in this country cheated the system.
Exactly. They cheated the system, and now they have to deal with the consequences of their actions.
They put themselves in front of millions of people who want to be part of the greatest nation on earth. They're taking their tests, they're doing a background investigation, they're paying their fees. And these people cross the border illegally and put themselves in front of the line.
Yeah, they're fucking line cutters and pieces of shit. Like, what the hell?
Nation laws, we can't do that. You can't want to be a part of the greatest nation on earth, and first thing you do is break our laws and cheat.
Exactly. You summed it up perfectly.
System, right? But Congress can fix a lot of things. They need to enshrine border security into legislation, immigration enforcement. But right now, with the rhetoric, when we got Chuck Schumer standing there on the floor of the House saying ICE and Border Patrol are out of control, they ain't trusted, no one likes them. I mean, are you kidding me? For any member of Congress to sit there and vilify the men and women of ICE who are enforcing the laws that you wrote, I just said it during my remarks on the stage that they want to compare us to secret police and the Nazis and racists.
I mean, people, it's simple. People who are or who are taught only one way of thinking, and this mostly references schools. If they're taught only one way to thinking, they're only going to think one way. They won't think about the other, and they're going to stay in that viewpoint. And then eventually it's just going to get worse and worse. And especially if they find more people who have that same way of thinking. And then it turns into groupthink and the hive mind thinking, where if you think of anything different, then you're excommunicado of that group.
If we're racist and Nazis for enforcing immigration law, what's that make them? They wrote the law. We're not making this up. So I wish they would fix it. Am I confident they will? No, I'm not. So I am grateful President Trump's sitting in the Oval Office, because let's remember, what keeps me up every night and people are not talking about it anymore is during Joe Biden's massive, historic illegal immigration crisis, over 2 million known gotaways caught on video traffic, drone traffic, sensor traffic, over 2 million, I think it was 2.1.
But who were not apprehended.
Were crossed the border. We know they crossed because there's an image or sign that they crossed. They got away. They weren't processed. They weren't vetted. They weren't fingerprinted. They got away. Who are they? Where are they from? Why did 2 million people pay more to get away? Because you pay a cartel, you pay one amount of money to get to the border, see a green uniform, turn yourself in, get processed, get released, get flown to the city, like we discussed earlier. Well, if you want to get away, if you want to get to New York or Chicago without going through the process, because you don't want anybody to know you're here, you got to pay a hell of a lot more to cartel. Why did 2 million people pay more to not to take advantage of the free giveaway? Why did they pay more not to get the free airline ticket, not to get free hotel room, not to get free meals, not to get free medical care? Why did they pay more to get away? Ask yourself that. Because they didn't want to be vetted, they didn't want to be fingerprinted, which means they're criminals, gang members, they're carrying fentanyl, or they're trafficking women and children, or they're from a country that sponsors terror.
Oh.
That's just scared the hell out of every American. It does me. It still keeps me up.
And again, unfortunately, words mean nothing to these people. You have to show them. More specifically, well, the only true way, like I said before, the only true way to really solve this issue is to have them actually deal with the consequences of their thinking and what they're trying to do. But otherwise, I still think that actually showing them actually can definitely work.
At night, because we know they're here. Now, Tulsi Gabbard's talk a lot about, we've arrested thousands of them. There's thousands we don't know where they're at. We know there's sleeper cells here. So people want to talk about President Trump's administration being humane. Because we have the most secure border in a lifetime, national security is better. However, we still got the mess that happened under the Biden administration. It's going to take us a decade to fix. There are still national security threats in this country that came in under Joe Biden. We know that because they opened the border up, which I think was the biggest national security threat, mistake that this country has ever had.
Would you support a compromise, sir, that involves giving legal status to the millions of people who are here illegally?
Oh, God, it's just like what I think fucking Spain did. Oh, God, no.
But are otherwise law-abiding,
No,
including dreamers.
I'm not going to get ahead of the president on that. That's president. I work for the president, so that's.
But something has to be done to address that population, or is the solution to deport them all?
Yeah, that is the solution. That is how to address it. You deport every single one of them.
Yeah, I'm not going to get ahead of the president. That's, I know the president's talking to various members of his cabinet. There's discussions going on. I'm involved with some and not others, but I'm not going to get ahead of the president on this.
18 people have died in ICE custody so far this year in about 4 months. That's after more than 30 people died in ICE custody last year, a 2-decade high. ICE is on pace to record the highest ever death tally of detainees in its history. Why are so many people dying in ICE
Because they're
custody?
You know what? I'll let him explain.
What is being done to address this alarming trend?
A better question would be, why is ICE deaths in custody far below any state prison, any federal prison? Why do we have the lowest death in custody of any state prison system or the federal incarceration system? Our deaths in custody are lower than everybody's. That's the first question you should be asking. The second question is, why is there increase in deaths in custody? Because those in detention is more than doubled. So we're dealing with twice the population. We're dealing with people from third world countries who've never seen a doctor before. What the media don't talk about, how many lives do we save in custody when we do their first medical review within 48 hours of them in custody? We find problems that we fix at great taxpayer expense. Save a lot of lives. So
Ah, now, do I want that? Mm, hard to say. I'd say only if it's life-threatening
your question is multifaceted.
or if we caused it.
More deaths, we got a lot more people in custody.
Actually, well, by what I mean by we cause it, I mean if there's like an extreme amount of unneeded force. But if they're like thrashing around and they get themselves hurt and we have to forcefully take them down or whatever, no, we shouldn't be paying for that at all.
Third world nations. But compare our deaths in custody to the prison system, the federal incarceration system, it's lower. No one wants to talk about that. I don't want to see anybody die.
And they never will. Unfortunately, they never will. Because why? Well, because they have to enforce their viewpoint and their narrative.
In custody. When I was ICE director, every time I got a notification of a detainee, it's sad. You don't want anybody to die. A violation of immigration law shouldn't be a death sentence to anybody, right?
That's where we see it differently. Now, rationally thinking, no, I don't believe that coming into a country illegally deserves a death sentence. However, if it was a death sentence, it would prevent more people from trying to cross into the country illegally. Hence, it's actually better for Americans.
But if you look at what are the deaths, right? And I'm not familiar with every death now, but when I was ICE director, a lot of the deaths were heart attacks. The guy had a heart attack. If it wasn't, how do you prevent that? If they go to a medical screen, they don't see an issue, if they're on medication. So a lot of these deaths, it ain't because of mistreatment. A lot of them are.
No, it almost never is because of mistreatment. It's because they have their own illness. Think about it. If you have 700,000 people detained, of course two of them are going to have like heart attacks.
If you look at what the deaths were, a lot of them are just immediate.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that's actually really good. Like that's an over like a 99.999% save rate. Like 700,000 people and only 40 died. Like, geez, that's insane good rates. Like, just think about any other nation. Like, holy, the numbers would be way higher.
Medical trauma that maybe people couldn't foresee.
But
are we perfect? Are we perfect? No, of course, nobody's perfect. And I think what I think when I was ICE director, we spent I think over $1 billion on medical care for detainees. I'm sure that number's high now because the detention population is twice as high. But no, when people come in our custody, it's our responsibility.
And it should be zero. It should be zero. Ultimately, or not it should be, it should have been zero. It should have been zero. There shouldn't be any illegal aliens in this country.
To take care of them and give them, the medical treatment we give. But many of the people we see, do you know when we have, families, when we had family residence centers, the first vaccinations or the first medical care these kids got were what we gave them.
Yeah, because they came from third world countries.
Come to this country. So we take the care and of these people seriously, but there's a lot of factors to consider. But I want to make sure when they're in our custody, under our control, they get the best care that we can provide, because it's the right thing to do. What I want is the men and women of this nation to understand that ICE agents are being vilified. Threats against them are up 8,000%.
Oh shit! So my 2,000% that I said before was wrong. It's 8,000%, and that I can very easily believe. Just take a look at Minnesota. and compare it to the last 10 years, and there's nothing like it.
Tax 1,400%. And a lot of it's because you got members of Congress, you got mayors and governors that want to call them Nazis and the secret police.
How do you
Yeah, because they keep trying to side with their fringe, retarded, and delusional, and mostly mentally ill voter base.
rebuild that trust between
We're
the
working on
communities
it.
where ICE agents work and the agents themselves?
We're working on it, but what has to happen, members of Congress should not be comparing ICE to the Nazis or secret police. Again, they're enforcing laws they wrote. If they don't like what ICE does, then change the damn law. But when you vilify them and compare them to Nazis and secret police, that raises the threat metrics. 8,000% increase in death threats. And people say, well, they're wearing masks. Because
Well, oh, yeah, of course they have to wear a mask because these people will try to find them later on and will try to either hurt them or their family. And if they don't, they will definitely make threats. So of course they have to wear masks.
they're being
And the only reason why they yell at them to take it off is because they want to hurt them. Not because they want to identify them in case they do something wrong, but to hurt them.
doxxed. Their spouses are being doxxed. Their kids are being doxxed. How
And
do
is
I
that
know?
going
Because
to
I've
continue?
experienced it myself.
The masking, is that going to continue?
Yes, and it should. It should because these people cannot hold themselves accountable. They need to be in a mental institution.
As long as it's a security issue for them. Look, we had ICE at the airports. Did they wear masks?
No.
Why not? Because at the
To build that
airport,
trust, right?
no, they wear masks because they're in a safe environment, right? But out in the
Yeah, and
public,
if they're in a hostile environment like Minneapolis, of course they're gonna wear masks.
where you're facing these agitators who are protesting, I support protesting, they got the constitutional right. When they cross the line to criminal behavior, threats and attacks and assault on ICE officers, and a lot of that's based on the hateful rhetoric being pushed by some media and members of the Hill and elected representatives, governors, and mayors. And what I told them, I was up on the Hill talking about negotiations, when they mentioned the mask, I said, well, if you stop the hateful rhetoric against ICE officers who enforce the laws you wrote, and that threat matrix drops because you don't hear the hateful rhetoric, because you got people in the community, you got percentage of people in the community that you empower them to do something stupid because they just heard a senator say that ICE is a Nazi police and the Nazis. You empower some of this behavior from that small percentage of people who aren't very stable to begin with. Stop the hateful rhetoric, stop the attacks on these men and women who are doing the job that you wrote and fund them to do, and I think the threats will go down. When the threats go down, we can look at the masks. I don't like the masks either. I don't wear a mask. Everybody knows who I am. I get threats every day. My family gets threats. However, the men and women of ICE, I mentioned today, the ICE director, his wife, his kids, you know, and he don't wear a mask, but a lot of these men and women are out there doing a job. They wear it for out of safety. And the argument was, well, other law enforcement don't wear a mask. Name me a law enforcement agency that has an 8,000% increase in death threats. Name me one.
Oh,
There isn't one. So we're going to do what we can to protect our agents. Stop the rhetoric. Death threats go down, and we can get back to business.